So this time we are looking at a plain seam and we're going to do a edge finish, so an edge stitch. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the seam allowance, we're going to fold it back on itself, so if you fold it halfway back on itself, and then you're going to press it into place. And then you're going to do the same for the other side. So I'm lining up now this fold with the original fold I've just done. Because then by lining them both up together, they'll both be equal when you open them out. So we'll just have a look if that is right. Yep. So I'm just going to give them one final press so they're both down and flat. So that's pressed. For the bits that are just sticking out, as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm just rolling them in my fingers so that it just takes a little bit more in, because that looks a bit wavy there to me, but I think it's because I've maybe overpressed it, because I've unpicked this a few times this piece. So I'm going to set my machine to straight stitch, and then I'm going to again do the same thing where I'm folding the excess underneath, because I'm only going to be working on the seam allowance. So I'm going to line it up on my sewing machine now. So I've got red in my machine. You can use it as a contrast stitch because it is a decorative stitch, but it's mainly so you can see on the computer. I would usually use a colour that is the same as the material. So if I was to line it up again in the same place as I did my zigzag stitch, I'm just going to check that it's going to cover, because the other time I did this it went very close to the edge. Yeah. So that shouldn't run off it. Here's hoping. So I'm putting my foot in line again with the stitch line, and I'm not doing a back stitch again. I'm going to start with my needle in, and then I'm going to stitch straight down. So what I'm doing now, I'm holding it at the back and at the front to keep it taut. By keeping it taut, it will just stop it from moving around, because this machine to me feels a little bit slippy with this foot, so I'm just keeping it steady and secured. So again, I'm just going to run it off. So I've been stitching on that side, but I want to come across and work on the other side. So I'm going to move the seam allowance all the way to the other side, and all the bulk is now at the other side, and then I'm going to work again on this one, going from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to line it up in exactly the same place. So the edge of my foot is on my stitch line, and I'm going to start with my needle in as always, and then off we shall go. So no back stitch at the beginning and the end, and then I'm going to pinch it again at the top just to keep it taut. You might not need to do that, it's just that my material feels like it's moving a little bit and I'm not. I'm just running it straight off. So this is the same with the edge stitch. So as you can see, it's caught right on the edge. So can you see what I mean about my machine being a little bit slippy? Hopefully yours is not like that, because that bit is a bit wavy. But I'm just going to go with it because it's all about the process rather than the end result right now. So as well, when you use a white, so I would use white usually on here, and if this did happen, so just there and just there, and if that did happen with white thread, it wouldn't be as noticeable. So this is just so you can see. So this is the wrong side. I'm just going to trim those edges off there. And then I'm going to flip it to the right side. So as you can see, the right side is just as it was. And then the wrong side, you've got your edge stitch only going through the seam allowance. There we go.